All right, so this is a fun one that I've been wanting to do for you guys. There's Henry. That I've been wanting to do for you guys for a while now, and that is to propagate rosemary. So I bought this rosemary plant the same year I bought that lavender that you saw. I did a video of that earlier on in the fall time, and we planted them in the same oak barrel, and I've just been waiting for it to grow and mature enough to take some cuttings from, and it's ready now. Now, we are in winter, and so these are going to be hardwood cuttings. We're February 10th today, and so they will root as hardwood cuttings. That rooster, he's competing. He's almost as bad as Johnny. They will root as hardwood cuttings. However, they might root a little faster as semi-hardwood cuttings earlier on in the fall. Now, if you saw that pepper growing video, we sprouted those seeds in this little dome, but it's gone unused now for a few weeks. So I'm going to go fill this up with soil, and we're going to get started. All right, so we're all set up. We've got our potting soil in here. I went ahead and took some rosemary cuttings, and as you can see, rosemary is an evergreen plant. So typically I would take these in the fall as semi-hardwood cuttings, but we're going to do these as hardwood cuttings and see what happens. Now all that means is that we've headed further into the growing season, and this wood has hardened off more. Later on in the summer, this would have been a little bit more supple, but right now it's pretty firm. It's actually, the further down the stem you go, the firmer it is, and it's fully lignified. It's gone through a few freezes, and this stuff is dormant. But you can see all the little bud sites along there. That's where the new little buds are going to shoot off and the new branches are going to grow. I am going to be using rooting hormone for this. We're going to use the Hormidin 3, same thing I use for my rhododendrons, and that's because although, like we did in the willow video, those things rooted super fast, these will take a little bit longer to root. Now I'm going to snip my cuttings down about, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches. You could do a little shorter, a little longer. I like that for the rosemary cuttings. I'm going a little bit longer on these just because they are hardwood cuttings, and I want to make sure that they got plenty of stored up energy because, like I said, they will take longer to root. The next thing we'll do is just strip the bottom half off of all of these little cuttings here. And there they all are, lined up beautifully, cut, stripped, and ready to dip in our rooting hormone. And there they all are. Aren't those little guys beautiful? I love seeing these little trays of cuttings like this, and I think that these little guys are going to do fantastic under that little grow light. So there we go, all of our rosemary cuttings stuck, ready to rock and roll. We just need to get them in a warm environment. So here's the concept behind this. These guys are hardwood cuttings right now, and normally I wouldn't put hardwood cuttings with a dome on them or with any kind of a cover because they're dormant, they're not losing moisture. But these are evergreen cuttings, and so they can still lose moisture through the leaves, 1. And 2, I'm going to be putting them inside my house and warming all of these little guys up. And so by doing that, they will transpire more, they will lose moisture more. And so we're going to take this little lid here, I don't need a lot of humidity. I'm gonna leave these little vent holes open on top, just like we did in that pepper growing video. And we're just gonna set it on top there and provide a nice little moist environment. I might even put a little water down here in the bottom just to make sure that there's plenty of moisture in there, but we will lose some of it through these vents. These are going inside the house now. They're going under my T8 fluorescent bulbs, but these little rosemary cuttings should root really well. We'll come back when something happens. All right, I'll just show you guys. We're putting them underneath these T8 fluorescent bulbs here. There's 4 of them up there, and they're in a nice warm house now. The only thing left to do is just cover them with this little lid. We've got the vent holes open, and we'll just come back when something happens. These guys are going to take a little while, but I think they're going to root really well. Let's go. So today is February 25th and things are happening fast. It was the 10th when we last stuck these guys here and just left them alone. I haven't done anything with them since. We just left the top open there. I haven't watered. I haven't done anything. They're just sitting here under these lights, and look at all those beautiful blooms. I just had to show you this real quick, guys, because I wanted to check this out for a second, and I was pretty amazed at how fast this happened. So it's been 15 days, and look at this. We've already got roots starting to come out the bottom there, and I pulled, this guy actually had roots already right here, and I just had to pull them up and see what they look like. Look at that. We already got roots pouring out of the bottom of that thing. Isn't that cool? I am pretty amazed at how fast that happened. Now I'm just going to leave them alone a little bit longer here. I want to see them fully root out and just get filled up in those little areas there, but like I said, just a day over 2 weeks, and here we are. We'll give it a little bit more time and come on back. All right, today is March 26th, so it's been about a month since that last little clip. Now, I've done nothing with these rosemary cuttings in that entire time. They have literally just sat in this little tote right here. These little vents have been open the entire time. I haven't watered, I haven't done anything. I've just kind of set them on the back burner. Let's take a look at them. So we'll pull the lid off here and take a look at these guys one at a time and see what we've got going on. So a couple of these guys, if you notice right off the bat, didn't make it. Here was one that just didn't do anything, just kind of rotted, and that happens occasionally. There's just not a whole lot you can do about that. There's one little guy over on the end here, and then this one started losing a lot of leaves here, and it looks like it might have tried to root, but nothing in the end. So we're left with, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these cuttings actually made it and are still doing well. So I could have probably potted them up after 3 weeks or so, but I just had a lot of projects going on. Anyway, let's pull these guys out and take a look at them. And they've got roots. Now we know that some of these had roots because we were looking at them before, but the roots have expanded even more. And remember, I haven't done anything to these. I haven't watered them. I haven't fertilized them. They've just been sitting in here with the same moisture they started with, basically. And this one actually is probably the best rooted. You can hardly see those roots now. They're kind of hardening off and drying out a little bit, but it's soaking up a lot of moisture. That material in there is dry. I definitely need to get it up potted. So look at some more of these here. There's one with some nice roots down in there. It's a nice healthy looking little cutting. These guys are almost like the willow. They just root really, really easily. There's not a whole lot to it. Take a look at this little guy. A little smaller, but a nice root system. And there it is. Now some of these I was noticing didn't root quite as well. I'm going to turn this around here for you guys. We'll see what we've got. Well, we got tons of roots right there actually. That'd be a nice little plant there. That guy's looking good. Fat little cuttings down there on the bottom. This one I started pulling up and he didn't have a whole lot of roots. So I think I'm just going to get rid of that guy. I mean, he still would grow on real nice if I took care of him, but we just don't need that many rosemary cuttings. And then this one right here, it rooted well. Got roots nice down there in the bottom. Where did we go? Oh, we got these guys in the middle here. Lots of roots on that one. And finally that guy. Look at that. Geez, actually more of these than I thought. Rooted really, really well. So we got 10 nice little cuttings that are well rooted in. The one of them here that I was telling you about, I'm probably not going to do anything with. So 9 of them that rooted well and have good solid root systems. The next step would be to pot these guys up into something a little bit bigger. I don't need all of these rosemary cuttings. I'm probably just going to pot up 4 of these guys and leave them inside for a little while. Once we get these potted up and we start watering them and fertilizing them and they're out of that humid environment, they're going to start growing, and we're going to see these guys start putting on new growth faster. You can see they've already started to a little bit. There's some new growth coming out of the top there. This little guy over here has some new growth coming out of the top here, and they're doing real well. This one's got some new growth as well. But once we get them into a bigger pot, fertilized and watered, they'll really start taking off. And I just couldn't help it, so I potted up every single one of them. We got 9 of them here. These guys are going to grow on nicely. So I'm going to get these inside again because it's still pretty cool outside. Once again, today is March 26th, and these guys will start growing in a warmer environment. Once they fill these cups out, I'll bring them outside and we'll pot them up into 1-gallon pots, probably fertilize them real good, and these guys will grow real great through the summer. So I think that's enough for this one for now. We'll come back when something more has happened with these guys. I know Henry enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to follow along. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.